before we start today's broadcast, G-Clef and I have to do something special and bow down to our new EU overlords. We are not worthy. We are not worthy.
Well, welcome to HGC Korea Phase number 2. Well, we've got the result from MSB, and we're now back in 4 days. This is crazy, and we're about to bring you a lot of exciting matches from Korea again.
It's going to be a good season. We have a lot of roster changes, of course, going to the season that we're going to be talking about. We have a new team in RRR, of course, coming up through the Crucible. Didn't end up winning through promotions, but because GG disbanded as a team,
That's right.
and 3 of their 5 members are still in this league on different teams, of course, RRR took that top spot over UBC to secure the new HGC slot, the 8th slot here. So we're starting off with a very different season than what we had last season in terms of players moving around. Also, the legend himself, Rich, has returned. So MVP Black definitely going to look a little bit different with Kyocho moving into the support position now. So very excited to see how all these changes affect the teams. Mighty looks to be a pretty powerhouse team right now with the swaps. They got some of the best players from GG. So there's a lot to talk about as we get into this one. It's going to be a great season.
And it's also because GG disbanded, a lot of their members spread it into other teams. So basically, all 8 teams in Korea are changed, basically wiped everything off from phase number 1. We're off to a fresh new start with all the roster changes. Of course, Rich coming in, and Onkana moving back to Tempest. I think Tempest will be another one of those powerhouses coming up right behind MVP Black, as we will see MVP Black probably topping the chart of phase number 2.
So we have a few ID changes as well, of course, which we'll talk about as they become relevant. And of course, Lustboy under his new ID, Tekaluk, is going to be playing in the league as well. He's on RRR, so finally gets his shot at HGC. Didn't actually make it through the qualifiers last time. Was in the open division, but has come in now to the pro scene. So here is, of course, our prize pool. If it looks familiar, that shouldn't be too big of a shock, considering that it's the same as last season. Phase 1 will run until July 23rd, not 23rd. There, but that's how it goes. And of course, it's going to be every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 6 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Don't forget, we kind of start the day off, or the evening, wherever you are, in Korea. Then we go into Europe and North America afterwards. So it's all going to be here on this Twitch channel. Everything that you saw all season long for Phase 1 is now just ported into Season 2. Different rosters, etc. But in terms of format, nothing has changed.
That's right, and we talked enough about the teams. I think we have a lot more stories to tell, but let's talk about the meta. We are still on the same patch as mid-season brawl, 25.5, the D.Va balance patch with D.Va enabled. No Marthel yet, but maybe in the upcoming weeks, maybe we'll have that. So we're likely going to see the similar drafts coming out from Korean teams today from the mid-season brawl. There has not been any competitive matches in Korea either.
That's right.
A lot of these teams also watched all the mid-season brawl matches, and they learned from that. So we're likely going to see similar things happening today.
That's right. So you even commentated that in Korean yourself.
That's
and,
right. That was exciting too.
Yeah. So kind of funny. You got to commentate at a weird hour like everyone normally does when they watch us. So here's the matchups for today. So RRR will be the debut of a Korean female player playing in HGC, as EGG will be playing for the team against Mighty, and then we're going into Raven and Blossom, of course, with their updated rosters. So Darvish from MVP Miracle actually will be moving into Raven and will actually be playing Flex and not actually support. So a role swap there, so that'll be interesting to see. And of course, Blossom losing Judy and Scarlet, having the new roster with, of course, Modern Life, who has kind of switched his ID up a little bit to Mora, but he will be playing the same position on Team Blossom. So could be 2 one-sided matches tonight, but we'll have to wait and see because anything could change with all these rosters. RRR, remember, did struggle in the promotion tournament. That was a long time ago, though, and you know, with this new meta that's been changing, we're going to find out how well they're going to do. But let's take a look at the teams first. Check out these interviews.
안녕하세요. 마이티 팀에서 메인 딜러를 맡고 있는 BDG 김동영이라고 합니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 마이티에서 서브 딜러를 맡고 있는 마기 김진환이라고 합니다.
맞아요. 이거 약간 이렇게. 자, 번개 구칙. 번개 구칙.
시즌 1의 마이티는 좀 수비적
전에는 좀 안정적이고 운영 쪽으로 많이 굴렸다면은 지금은 약간 다들 적극적으로 플레이하는 스타일이 된 것 같아요.
굿 선수하고 제가 들어와서 좀 더 공격적으로 변할 것 같아요.
BDG 선수랑 굿 선수가 새로 들어온 만큼 시너지가 저희 팀과 잘 나올 것 같아서 기대가 되는 것 같아요. 저번 시즌에 3등을 했으니까 3등 안으로는 들어야 되지 않을까 생각하고 있어요.
솔직히 말하면 지금 무서운 팀은 없어요. 다 맞붙으면은 이길 수 있을 것 같아요.
저희 팀도 이번에 리빌딩하고 L5랑 블랙이 리빌딩을 해가지고 충분히 잡을 가능성이 있다고 봅니다.
시즌 1 때 마이티가 템페스트한테 져서 이스턴 클래시에 못 갔는데 이번에는 꼭 이겨서 이스턴 클래시에 진출하겠습니다.
All right, it's Mighty. They surprised a lot of people defeating Tempest in the playoffs of Phase 1. Now that we're in Phase 2, they have this new rebuilt roster with BDG, who's always been a highly respected DPS player in the Korean scene. So big shoes to fill here moving into Mighty, but I feel like you definitely have to give respect where it's required, and in this case, it's definitely going to be a solid roster. Good coming in here, not with the support of Hooligan, of course, but definitely the main DPS player. Even though Zeratul is definitely less popular right now than he used to be, that's something that's always going to be scary in this combo-based playstyle that Mighty, I think, is going to be showing us moving forward.
Yes, but without the Zeratul now, the Genji is popping up everywhere with the 25.5 patch, with Anubarak, and also the Haka. So depending on how these teams decided to play with their own hero pool, it'll be exciting to see how they really came up with the draft, what kind of plans they have going into, also going against the weaker team today. So they do not actually have to show everything tonight.
That's definitely true. So you could tell his top picked heroes here, Dahaka, Tyrael, and Zeratul. He's the solo laner for the team now as he moved away from GG. So definitely one of the better players, I think, at the bottom of HGC. So with Good and BDG now in Mighty's roster, I think they look very strong. So the only thing that, you really have to take away from this too is SDE has left the team. SDE has moved into L5, so big shoes for him to fill with Noblesse. But when you compare SDE and BDG, they actually have very similar playstyles. They play very similar heroes. So I feel like this spot, even though it's big shoes to fill, I think that BDG could definitely make it happen. And Good with a huge smile on his face. They are ready to go tonight. They looked very confident. Pretty excited to see how well they're going to perform, G-Clef.
It will be exciting to see, and we will get to know about these teams, and also not just you and me, all the viewers are going to. But before that, let's take a look at RRR.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 팀 RRR 팀에서 지원관을 맡고 있는 떼꼴로게고요.
팀장 이지라고 합니다. 반갑습니다.
저희가 RRR 팀명을 만들게 된 계기는 이제 궁극기 연기할 때 보통 스킬 이름 말하기 좀 귀찮아가지고 너무 기니까 RRR 그러잖아요. 이제 그 소리가 좀 재밌는 것 같아서 그냥 RRR 하게 됐습니다. 전문 용어로는 이제 좀 빠꾸 없는 팀, 길거 없는 팀이라고 보면 될 것 같습니다.
일단은 주변에서 계속 말려줘야 돼요. 안에 잠재되어 있는 공격성이 너무나 많기 때문에 그거를 좀 잠재우기만 하면은 이제 괜찮을 것 같습니다.
저희가 딱히 히어로즈 선수 커리어로서는 콩 선수 빼고는 전부 커리어 높은 선수는 아니기 때문에
저희 팀의 비선 실세가 콩이라서 이제 콩이 오더를 다 하는데 그 오더를 안 들으면은 저희는 끝장나거든요. 그렇기 때문에 아마 단합력은 최고지 않을까 생각합니다.
키플레이어는 저죠. 연습 경기할 때 제가 잘하면 이기고 제가 못하면 좀 지는 것 같더라고요.
떼걸로 선수가 제가 생각했을 때는 내면 속에서의 공격성이 제일 활발한 선수라서 던지는 플레이인 거나 아니면은 하드 캐리하는 플레이거나 둘 중에 하나가 정해지기 때문에 키플레이어가 아닐까 생각해요.
일단 승강전 밖을 목표로 하고 있고요. 저희가 메타를 놓치지만 않는다면 승강전보다는 훨씬 좋은 모습 보여드릴 수 있을 것 같아요. 블라썸한테 승강전 진 거는 좀 메타가 가장 컸던 것 같아요. 열심히 해서 최대한 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
최선을 다해서 플레이를 하고 좋은 결과를 보여드릴 수 있도록 노력을 할 테니까 끝까지 지켜봐 주시고 많은 응원 부탁드리겠습니다. 제발요.
There's a lot of storylines for this team, in particular their unlikely run in the Crucible, their failure there, and still being able to join the league regardless. They have a huge opportunity now that they weren't actually able to earn through the Crucible. So I think there's a lot of eyes on this team as how well that will they perform. Will they be able to be a good replacement for GG, who disbanded? So there's a big question marks going to this one. Also remember that Kong was actually the one of the owners of Mighty. He's highly involved in the team, now more so focused on the Overwatch squad of things, where he actually is very involved in that, but still helped to create Mighty. He was the star player of Mighty in 2016, and now ironically, as he moves in with the amateur team into the pro scene, he now has to play against the team that he helped to create. Kind of an ironic situation.
That's a very nice point there, right? And Kong, of course, we both casted the playoff and the Crucible for these teams. They lost against Blossom 4-0. It was a very short match actually, but we saw a lot of the shot calling misses. It was not so perfect, and they were losing lots of the macro fight. Let's see if that happens again, as Mighty seems to be the favors of tonight.
So Kong used to be a specialist player. He's moved into the tank role now on RRR, and he's got a lot of flexibility, and as HGC was saying in the interview, he's the shot caller. He makes all the orders, he makes all the decisions in terms of macro play, and that's why he's really the key player here. So he's the tank, and that's going to be very important in this very Anubarak-focused meta. So we see a lot of Kongs Anubarak, no doubt. So excited to see how this team does perform. As you know, as we kind of concluded after promotions in the Crucible, the gap between Pro Scene and the Open Division, at least in Korea, seems to still be quite large. But with this new opportunity they have, maybe they really step it up. And as they were saying in the interview, perhaps it's really just about the meta. They don't feel like this meta fully suits them just yet, so maybe they'll come into it as it evolves here. We're still on our first patch. This is the first week. Sticking with the mid-season brawl rules, as you said, patch 25.5. So in terms of map bans, G-Clef, it doesn't look like much has changed over a little break.
We're back to Korea indeed. Braxis and Warhead Junction banned as usual, starting in phase number 2. We saw a lot of Braxis and Warhead actually back in mid-season brawl. It was very exciting to see lots of different picks like Zagara bans coming out from SPT and Braxis and stuff. But map number 1, we're going into Infernal Shrines. It's going to be the first map, also one of the most popular map back in MSB. So let's see. We haven't really saw Kerrigan at all back in MSB. That's because Genji came along. Anubarak, there are so many strong picks. You don't really have to go that far and pick Kerrigan, which would also pressure your team to make a team comp around Kerrigan nowadays, which is not too strong right now.
Yeah, definitely not. The rise of Tassadar's popularity could kind of empower that Kerrigan play. We'll see if that ends up being the case or not. I'm kind of leaning towards what you're saying, that at least on this current patch, that we won't be seeing Kerrigan here. But again, the level of play from the top 2 teams in Korea, and of course the European teams that were now, of course, champions and finalists of Mid-Season Brawl, are not really prioritizing Kerrigan. So you would assume that the lower part of the teams would follow suit. As we do see, it is first ban for Mighty, and they will take away Uther immediately.
Most of the time, Uther, Genji, Anubarak, even Dehaka for most picked and banned from MSB. As all teams, I've asked many of the teams, and they have watched almost every single match from Mid-Season Brawl, and they have said they've adapted to the meta from watching that. So I'm guessing the meta is going to be very similar. And as time goes by, we're going to go back to the Korean meta a little bit more, and then until Eastern Clash, and then there's going to be a big clash with the Eastern Clash all again.
Exactly.
And Genji Bend. Again, here comes Anubarak, just
of course,
like last weekend.
Before you even see him locked in, you know what's happening. So it's going to be a pretty nice pickup here for Mighty.
And because Uther is banned, highly likely they pick Malfurion from the beginning, because the top support, Uther and Malfurion, if you leave that open, then the Mighty's going to take it. So Malfurion paired up with
Stitches, man, of course. And this is how it's going to be. So looking for a lot of CC now on RRR to pair with the hooks. When you leave this available, you know, it's so tempting to just grab it, right? The combo that we've seen at the end of HGC Korea for Phase 1, very, very much dominant, drawing out even Stitch's bans. The first few times we saw it, we laughed it off. It seemed a little bit mediocre, but as teams got better and better at using Stitch's, Noblesse specifically, then this got more popular. So not really that big of a shock, in fact, to see this combination.
Coming into Korea, how much they have changed for the last month. It's amazing to see that they picked up all this meta from MSB, and here comes Greymane Dehaka, all the highly picked from MSB just in the first 5 picks already.
Yeah, the Greymane pick is definitely going to be very useful for wave clear and also for camping. You know, Greymane is so useful as a team fight player, and it's really nice when you have empowering heroes like a Tassadar or an Uther to make sure that he is invulnerable in team fights. But his burst damage now with Cursed Bullet, his ability to solo a camp very quickly makes him almost like a jungler, you could almost say, because he could clear so fast, start to push waves. So he's always going to be putting that extra pressure on, and that pairs well with Dehaka, who will already be pre-setting up the waves. So you have a strong soul laner like Dehaka who will shove the waves out, and then Greymane goes to clear the camp to empower that push.
That's right, and also to shield the Greymane, there was a Tassadar ban. Lots of times Tassadar came along with Greymane and also Vala. Vala's not here yet. Maybe they can still pull it up with an Ariel later on. Mighty banning Tychus this time because they have a lot of tanks. And Nubarak Dehaka, because Tychus can do percent-based damage with minigun, they're just gonna take that out and not worry about it.
They also have one DPS set up themselves, so this is gonna force RR to go down in terms of tiering, less tiered DPSs. Might even force the Falstad pick. Falstad definitely dropped in popularity quite significantly in the mid-season brawl, and was definitely not used very often by the Korean teams, especially MVP Black, who was taking Li Ming over Falstad in most cases, not worrying about the global as much if they couldn't get Dehaka, because Dehaka is the safest global at this current stage, and is technically more global than Falstad just because of how he can go anywhere, whereas Falstad does have somewhat of a tether to his flight.
If RR wants to go a little bit more tanky, Leoric is still available with Entomb with the hook, and the Entangling Root is also possible. Here comes Li Ming. Li Ming seems to be the better choice because they need some wave clear. They need some burst damage when they get the kill, get the reset. Li Ming has the potential to put out so much burst damage. That's why they pick Li Ming. And also Arthas, because they need a solid tank. If Stitches goes down on HP because of the Cursed Bullet, they don't have anyone else to tank the frontline damage. So here comes Arthas.
Arthas is also going to pair with the rooting potential of Stitches. So you have Stitches have a hook, the preset root comes down from Malfury, and the Entangling Root comes in, then you have Howling Blast, and then suddenly whoever got hooked, they were likely dead anyways, but they're dead for sure after that. They could give Li Ming a reset as well in a team fight, which could be quite critical, no pun intended, with the critical mass. So let's see what Mighty is going to do here in terms of supports now. Karazim is likely going to be the support. We already know that that's kind of how it's been prioritized in the mid-season brawl because of his mobility, but the lack of a cleanse is somewhat concerning, and in fact, we're going to see Gul'dan Ario. Long time no see on this combination, but it's very map-specific. We've seen it so many times on Infernal Shrines in the past. Pretty unusual, but
that's unusual, and that's a lot of. It takes a lot of boldness to actually pick Gul'dan Ario against Stitches with lots of roots on the other side. It's almost Mighty saying, welcome to HGC KR and taste our spiciness that we just came up to this league, and we're going to just overpower you with domination, with the power and the micro plays that we're going to have. Let's see how RRR responds to this. They already have an answer. If they can just get good hooks with the root, I think they have the damage. Li Ming, some damage, of course. You need one more DPS here.
So the question is, what DPS will it be?
It used to be something like Sergeant Hammer a long time ago, but not anymore.
Sergeant Hammer not even picked a single time in mid-season brawl, so pretty unlikely we'll see the Hammer here.
Raynor?
I don't think so, but it's a tough one. I think they got a little bit out-drafted here.
Even
might be the
Lunara
Kael'thas.
is possible. Or Vala.
Leoric. Okay.
They're going all in.
Triple tank on this one. This is very much a CC-based composition, which is pretty interesting considering Ariel's on the other side. So when you have Ariel's Aegis, it can completely nullify everything that happens. But if you can force the Aegis early, when the Aegis comes out, you have a stationary target that's going to get slammed by all of the CC coming out. The Entomb, the hook You're going to see the root come down. You can root right on top of the Aegis. If you time it correctly, that player is going to be stuck right when they pop out. Guys, it is time to start HGC Korea Day 1 for Phase 2. Mighty versus RRR. We're going into Infernal Shrines for Game 1. Okay, in blue, it is Mighty, Joker on Anubarak, BDG on Gul'dan, Good on Dahaka, Nasong on Oriole, and Magi on Greymane.
And in red, Team RRR. Odak on Stitches, MSG on Leoric, EZZ on Liming, Kong on Arthas, and take a look at Malfurion.
Here we go. Well, they can definitely RRR with this combination.
They don't even need RRR here. They just need Qs and
QQQ.
QQQ and E's is here.
Going full China. Well,
also
triple tank, man. You're pulling triple tank into a Greymane. Here's the first hook, by the way, into a Gul'dan, the best target here, but there's just so much healing for him. And this actually is going to be a turnaround. Nice hook here by Good. Is going to secure the kill onto MSG.
The root combo was a little bit slow, so Gul'dan could just walk away from there. If the root connected, I think they could have got a kill instead of giving a kill, but gave a kill onto Leoric, so it's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah, definitely not the worst. We'll just pop back into the fight right away. In fact, gonna go to look to turn on to Good here. There's the tether. MSG even commits the Q there to try to get the kill. Unfortunately, unsuccessful there, but does damage him quite significantly. So, I mean, when you look at this draft for RRR, if the fight goes longer, their CCs don't link together. With Greymane's ability to, he's definitely going to go for Cursed Bullet. So with the Greymane's Cursed Bullet, as that burst damage, this is a team fighting composition for Mighty that should win almost every fight because the longer sustained damage they have from Gul'dan and Greymane's burst. So it's all about the CCs, man, and Liming getting the resets.
And that's exactly what RRR does not want to happen because they don't want to team fight. They just want a pick. To avoid team fight, it's going to be 4v5. Even if Mighty has that team fight comp, 4v5 as easy as it sounds, it's not going to be hard for Mighty when they get a pick off from that hook and follow-up CCs. So that's what RRR is looking for right now. But if they can that work against the very strong comp with a lot of CC coming in from Anubarak and Dehaka, also Horrified later on with Ariel saving every single time. I think Mighty has a better team comp overall.
Yeah, I think so too. It just is going to be about those hooks. And if you're watching RRR for the first time, if you don't watch Open Division, which didn't actually have English commentary for most of its time, then you probably don't know how good EGG is on Liming. She's quite skilled. Her two best heroes, Liming and Falstad, and her career. So this is kind of one of her, people call her kind of a one-hit wonder with it. We'll see if she can make it happen and get those critical mass resets and carry the fight. But it's going to be about that CC. Otherwise, as you can see here, if the CCs don't net them an early takedown, then the fight is dominated by the longer sustained healing coming out from Mighty.
There goes some roots, and see the triple warrior in the front line. It's just so much tanking ability from RRR. Mighty really needs to sustain, and Ariel heal does come in time, but is that going to be enough? Let's see. Oda gets a lot of damage in the front.
Yeah, the longer the fight goes on, always it's going to be better for Mighty. Even with this hook here, it's just too late. Look at all the damage that BDG is able to put on here. There's damage over time. Good skill shots coming in, just bleeding RRR down. They only have the single target healing of Malfurion. Almost what makes you wonder if they would consider going Tranquility in this game with all the slow DPS that's coming out from Mighty. Because with that, if you imagine them having that ultimate in that last fight, it would have been a lot easier. But as we move into this first phase with the Mortar Punisher coming in, RRR is going to have to be on the defensive. Not a lot of range damage for them either. So a lot of damage getting done with this first one, and they already split away Dehaka to the bot lane to get that extra EXP. This is going to be a pretty nice first Punisher for them. Damage the fort significantly and get a large EXP lane advantage.
Yeah, Good is harassing a little bit more so that Leroy cannot catch up to EXP as much. I believe he lost just one or two minions in the lane. with that, and you saw during that Shrine team fight, Mighty was staying together to get the AoE heal from Ario. That was the most important thing, having their sustain against RRR, because they had triple CCs, and this is before the Malfurion nerf. Malfurion still gives a lot of heals, a lot of burst damage too.
Yeah.
So that's exactly why you saw the positioning already. I believe we're going to see that over and over again through lots of team fights, but Mighty already looking to be a lot more crisp compared to our RRR.
Definitely true. This is only the first Punisher, though, and they will even up the talent tiers here now, so it's definitely going to be an opportunity for RRR to come back, because they have pretty standard builds here coming out. The EGZ building into the only build that Li-Ming seems to ever have in competitive play.
Hey, Orb. Orb build is the way, man. Though I never go that.
No one ever goes that Orb build, man.
I've seen way too many, and it was not so great with My Hero League.
Come on, you got to get Astral Presence. Projection or whatever it's called that no one picks it after it was nerfed.
Yeah, that's the way. No more diamond skin either later on. But here, Mighty, because they have so much CC, they don't have to dive. Because RRR is looking for the pick, they can be in the front line, try to block those hooks so Gudan or Ario, they don't get hooked in to the side of RRR. That's all they have to do. The Haka can burrow, Nubara can just dive out of there.
Yeah. So we don't actually have the Echoed Corruption coming out here for Gul'dan, so he's not going to have that big power spike later on in the game, but obviously he will, to a certain extent with his Fel build, he's chosen instead. As you can see, he has topped the damage charts now, 12.8k to the 10k of EGZ currently. So BDG definitely kind of the star in terms of DPS here so far with these compositions. And positioning for RRR, because their triple tank, is very difficult, in fact, to make sure that they don't clump up to eat that Fel damage. So they start this with a lead. Mighty tried to get 10. They will get it in just a second here with the big push going up into the top lane. It's exactly what I'm talking about, the Merc camp push. This is what Greymane provides you. Besides his DPS, he can clear that camp so quickly. They rotate down. Now they've got 10, and there's a camp on the fort, so they already forced the Auric to go up there. MSG has to deal with the push, and Mighty takes a very nice advantage, and they should be able to parlay this into grabbing the second Punisher.
Yeah, Mighty knowing that they're going to hit 10 before they can take the entire Shrine. They didn't waste any time. They got more EXP. RRR actually wasted time to grab onto those 27 minions on the Shrine, because they couldn't soak up EXP. They couldn't really go to all other lanes. They had to spend the time, and they lost this Punisher anyhow. So might as well just maybe give up and try to soak for 10. I think that could have been a better call there. Yeah,
Definitely could have been. Too late now. This fort's going down. They did deal with the top push of that, but the Auric was absent throughout all of this time. You see Entomb, and despite my dreams, it is going to be Twilight Dream, not the Tranquility coming out here from Malfurion. And of course, Cocoon will be the choice of Heroic for Dubarok.
We see a lot of Li-Ming, because just to break the Cocoon off with the Disintegrate, because Disintegrate takes out Cocoon pretty quickly, and Kong gets very low. He happens to be often just like that, and Cocoon used to get a kill, maybe.
The Tomb, definitely not too useful there at all either. MSG misses the tether there with his Drain Hope as well, so doesn't get the healing he wants. So Malfurion forced to use some mana there. But you can already tell this composition, this all-in, I think that's the best way to put it when you said it in the draft, is really just not working out the way RRR has planned. They got the one amazing hook onto Gul'dan at the beginning of the game, but since then, we really just haven't seen a whole lot of good CC chains. Speaking of chains, we're going to see double CCs coming to this choke point, and the Horrify goes down. Tekaluke in trouble here. Never want to clump into that choke point when you've got Horrify and an Anuparok against you there. Good invade here by Mighty, and RRR is going to pay for it, losing stitches.
That was perfect. Diving in the small choke point, and Horrify perfectly on all three of them. Mighty looking so nice today already from the game one starting, and RRR really, as you said, as we've been saying, they're really not making this comp work together, as they're losing a lot of their members, and Leoric goes down once more.
So definitely an error here in terms of decision making, and having Leoric stay there solo while everyone else was backing was kind of an issue. He got picked off there as Mighty is roaming as a group right now, and they're not losing EXP for it. The bot lane is too risky to try to soak right now with the killed fort, so they just stay together as 4, leaving Dahaka to eventually whittle down the top fort, force a reaction there and it allows them to get picks like they did onto MSG. So really smart decision making in rotations for Mighty, and RRR got a little bit desperate there, tried to soak for some extra EXP, but got punished. Will they be able to catch this team on the retreat though? Let's find out. Good Entomb, that's a start. Aegis goes down, can't protect both though.
Kong is actually the one that got taken out first. Good Twilight Dream onto three of them, but it's going to be a big turnaround for Mighty. They have the better team comp, and it's a lot more damage coming out. RRR try to focus on one target, but seems to be the focusing is a little bit off right now.
Yeah, well, the sustained healing that comes out when you have Gul'dan Ariel, which we don't have a name for that yet, but we're probably going to have to call it Gulariel or something like that, or Ardon or something. It's just such a great, it's a composition that works so well against what RRR is drafted because they only have the burst damage of Li Ming, and it's amazing if she can get the resets because then she kind of acts as if a multi-DPS hero because she just has no cooldowns, right? But when she's alone, doesn't get the kills, the healing is just too much against triple tank that doesn't have the DPS to get those kills, even with good CC.
It's kind of funny, BDG getting HP from a Leoric that's getting drained from Gul'dan. Both HP going both ways, but Leoric does survive at the end of the day. They're going to steal this camp also. RR does hit 13 for the same talent, but they're just going to give up. Stitch is not here.
Good's going to grab this fort, finally. He's been working on it all game long, and now he's going to reap what he sowed. EGG very aggressively positioned here. Does show her mechanical skill here, though, in actually dodging the skill shots coming out, dodging those stuns coming out from a Nubrok. But the invade continues. Tons of damage coming down. Didn't use Horrify. Perhaps could have secured the kills with it, but they just want to get a positive exchange while the Punisher pushes on in the mid lane.
But glad they did get the adaptation off of Dehaga, so that's a lot less tanking ability. If they can get one more good hit, one more good hook onto Gul'dan or Aria or even Greymane, they should be looking for the kill, and they have not been doing that so far.
All right, here we go. This is going to be an opportunity for a hook. Nope, not anymore.
Still Dehaga pushing top with the camp. They're getting much more EXP, and Joker on the front line having that spar armor against Li Ming also helping a little bit.
Doesn't decide to go for the grab there. Unfortunately, just not in a position to make that happen. And yeah, like you said, the lack of a global as well for RRR gives so much room for Dehaga to push and clear these camps so fast. It could even have solo camps. We saw the one early on where Greymane started the camp solo, but besides that, they've just been roaming as four, so they clear these so quickly. They're painting the map blue, as we always say, and RRR is really on the back foot here. They still have keeps alive, and we talk about this a lot when a team is really behind like this, how if their keeps are alive, there's always a way back because of EXP. The EXP has like a comeback mechanic. I think that's what it's actually even officially called. Anyways, the EXP of the forts does rise at this stage. RR could definitely catch up and potentially even get 21st if they can get some good fights, but there's no scaling advance they're going to get in the late game. There's nothing that their composition just is waiting for to come online. It's again just they're looking for those CCs, looking for the good fights with them, and so far it just has not happened.
All they're looking for is a good hook, as we're repeating so many times. They're looking for some kind of comeback from RR, but it looks very hard at the moment. They know Dehaka's top. Maybe they tried to contest here. Leoric can come down anytime. As they see Leoric coming down, they're just going to back up. Perfect shot calling here.
And they just retreat now, and mid lane push is being dealt with here. RR's just sitting back and eating this EXP, gobbling it up because it's all they really can do. They're going to be down a level here, or sorry, down a talent tier here with 15. One whole EXP bar away from the 16 for this next Punisher. Going to be cleared very quickly this camp. Fortunately for Mighty, it's not going to be that much value because it's going to be the same lane as the Punisher they are going to contest. But we'll see if RR can get into a better position here. They are hiding Stitches in this brush, in this vent. Line of sight blocker, but he is spotted. No hook. Joker's going in. Here we go. This is going to be the fight. This could actually decide the game if they get the wipe. Odok is dead. There's the double Horrify. This looks like it might be a triple. Look at that timing there from Good to come in. The Entomb here not going to be very helpful, and that's already 3 down for RRR.
They don't even need the Punisher here. They can just go for the core. They want to keep down and maybe to end the game right here, right now. As GGZ is still left and Kong's doing what he can, trying to put some CCs on, but just not enough damage at the moment. Mighty going for this keep right now.
They gave away the Anubarak. The real surprise in this draft was the Gul'dan Ariel. They ended up being the perfect answer for the CC-based triple tank composition. They'll take the keep and walk away here. They're not going to try to go for core with the low death timers. RR is only level 15.
They're going to take the Punisher and then go core right after. That's the exact plan they're going for. They even want to hit 20 maybe before having this Deaka soak up. The extra EXP on the bottom lane. They're just making this one out perfect, saying, welcome RRR to HGC Korea. This is how we do it, and this is how you should do it.
Yeah. Well, RRR, with very few options here, will try to invade. They know Dahaka's bottom, but he can obviously teleport up using his burrow, so he can come in at any time. He's going to brush talk in just a moment. He's doing it right now. Here we go.
There's a damage onto Gudan, but just sustain is so much healing coming out. Actually, Stitch is taken out immediately. Ice Block is not going to help. Malfurion was cancelled in the middle where she was trying to do the Twilight Dream, but got cancelled right before.
Well, HGC Korea for Phase 2 may start with a perfect game. Magi, no, never mind. I swear every time I try to say it's going to be a perfect game, it never is. If I ever say those words, it never is. So EGG does get the kill there with the magic missiles afterwards, but that's going to be 20. That's going to be the wipe. It's a frozen Punisher, but that's not even going to be significant here. Barring massive mistakes for Mighty, I think this is going to be lights out. Not even certain if they pressed, if they A-clicked their heroes towards the core and went to take a restroom break if they would lose the game at this stage. But we'll see what RRR can do to try to stop this push. It's a composition problem for them. They allowed the top tier hero through the draft, the Anubarak. They didn't ban it out for the Genji ban instead, and then just struggled to deal with the AoE, Horrify, also the big CCs were coming out from Anubarak, and they just didn't have the hooks that were required to win with this composition.
That's the power of first picks, and also they banned out Taikas, which was basically the only DPS left for a lot of the HP down. And there goes Leoric once more. Seems like we're watching Simba once more here. And Kong almost very low. Good Horrify onto Malfurion too. Ice Block comes down, but it's still on cooldown. Twilight Dream cannot be used once more.
That's going to be the last team fight here for this game as the Punisher now works on the core. The dive over the core are going to take out EGG for the last time. 17 kills to 1 here at a sub 17-minute game. Make that 18 to 1. Mighty will take game number 1.
That's a rough start for RRR, but you can already tell how good this roster on paper is looking into the game, as Mighty is looking to go climb up all the way right behind the Black. As they said in an interview, they think they can face any team and win against them, even Black. They mentioned specifically, I think they have what it takes. It's just the beginning of the new phase, and